Alright, hey guys, I'm gonna do a tutorial video. I'm in the wood shack scene of my hunt. I'm gonna show all sorts of ways to detail walls and create paint washes, create blood, add nasty drips all over the place. I'm gonna start off just showing my basic paint wash technique because this will be the basis of how I do everything, but I want to go through it on this wall. It may be a little hard to see because I'm just doing black on this already kind of aged wall to make it look more aged, but I'm going to go over it and I'll show you how to do it so that way in future videos when I say I'm going to paint wash this, you'll know exactly what I mean. I use spray paint rather than using regular latex paint. I think it drips better and makes a cooler, older look. The biggest thing for me most of the time is you want to use more than one paint wash color. On this wall I'm probably just going to do black. This will be an exception because it already has some of the older colors in it. I am going for just the bare plywood look. I'm just trying to make it a little older. I might throw in a little bit of brown, but yeah, this is pretty low, so I'll probably just use black on this wall. But I'll show you how I do it. Alright, so I've got standard spray bottle. It'll shoot out a mist. It's kind of in between the setting where it shoots a straight line and where it shoots out to the side. You can experiment around and see what you like, but definitely don't do a straight line because that'll just make one little tiny line of drip. I got face mask just so I don't get too high off the fumes. Go put that on. And then this part's big. First step is you have to wet down the wall. Get it wet beforehand so that the paint has something to cling to. And this, I'm not sure what it's going to be like on bare wood, so I'm going to get it nice and wet. If you don't get it wet, what's going to happen is you're just going to spray the paint on, and then once you hit it with the water afterwards, it'll start dripping, but you'll still see a big splotch where you start. Like for instance, right here. I'll just do it to show you. Don't do this. It'll drip, but you'll still see there's this splotch of residue left over, and you don't want that. So make sure and get your wall nice and wet beforehand. Especially the corners, you're going to want to go heavy so it drips down, so anywhere it borders a beam, go almost all the way down your wall. But in the middle too, you're going to want some. So I'm going to go in. I usually like to spray paint with one hand and go in with the sprayer simultaneously with the other. Really you want to get it heavy, lots and lots of paint. And then as it drips down, you want to continue to hit it as it gets lower and lower. I want it thinner so you can still see the plywood beneath it, but you can experiment with thickness. You can go back over it. This dripped better than I thought it would. I really like that look. Now it's starting to look old and oily. So I'm going to finish up this wall, probably put it in time lapse, so enjoy! And voila, you can see I'll do different stuff for the beams up here, so I'm not going to do drippy paint washing stuff on them. But you can see back here, looks really good. Like I just said, this doesn't really match it yet, but that's okay. It'll get there once I start working on it. But so you can see this compared to, bring you over here, show you that versus the basic tone of it. Looks a lot more aged and nasty. So don't think that in a hunt you can't use just bare plywood walls. You just have to distress it and age it and make it look old. I really hate it when I'm in a hunt and I see just a plain OSB wall, so don't do that. But if it fits the setting, absolutely use it, but make it look old, because you can see like the difference. I haven't done that area yet. Alright guys, so now I'm going to do these beams in here, make them look older. So, same basic technique. I've just got some paper towels too. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray each board down and then run over the whole thing with a quick coat of black paint. I don't have to get every little square inch, just get it spread mostly around and then wipe it all up with a paper towel. And just use paper towels liberally. They're cheap. You don't need to overuse them. I'll start up in here. Just get it a little more aged looking. And you can see like this is wiping off. You can use that too until the paper towel gets old. But just go over it, quick coat of paint, doesn't have to hit everywhere. And then swab it up. And you can see on this board, you kind of see the grain of the wood because it's running that way. Up here it's not turned that direction, but on that lower board you can see. Alright guys, so I got this whole room, pretty much every space where there was white, fresh lumber, I got it blackened up and darkened and creepy. But now I've got this severed foot. I bought this at a Hunter sale last year, and looks, well, the previous owner had some wire running through up here. It's kind of hard to see, but it wound up in a loop, so I screwed that in. But now I'm going to make it look like it's hanging here, not by wire that's stuck through the bone, because wire wouldn't stick through real bone. But I'm using the wire as the main support so that it hangs in there good. But now what I'm going to do is I've got this heavy duty twine or light duty rope, depending on how you look at it. I'm just going to tie that around here and then run it up to the screw just so it looks more realistic. So now the purpose of me setting that up was so I can show my blood recipe. As always, you're going to want red, but I like to use multiple types of red so that you can have a little bit of variation between your bloods. Like here you can see in this set, it's like a darker blood. Always use black too. This doesn't have the cap on it, but trust me, it's black. Mask up, because you don't want to get too high from it. As you can see, I'm sure you saw, I have lines from breathing in around the mask, but it works. Haven't gotten high yet, so I'm gonna squirt probably as a rough estimate, and it doesn't have to be all that precise, but probably 2/3 red, 1/3 black, just into the cap. Go. Get a little black in there. And you want to use more black than you think you will need. You'll think it'll end up being really dark, but it won't. It looks a lot darker in the cap than it ends up being. Whoa, that is splattering out all over me. And this, I suppose you could brush on, but for the first application, I'll show. That looks good. Doesn't that look awesome? Just splattered straight across there. Dang, I really like that. Whip out all the extra. There we go. I'll do that one more time just so it looks like a different splatter in maybe the other direction or in a different place. Let me put my glove on though. I've got blood all over me. So while I'm making this, let me just explain to those of you haunters who are anti-blood in scenes, anti-blood and gore, I really think that, like I was saying before, everything but your gore is something that should be aged, and therefore seems like it happened and was made a long, long time ago. The gore is what brings the modern... It's what makes the fear contemporary. Whereas skeletons, it's like something bad happened here, but it was hundreds of years ago. Gore is, this place is old, it has a history that's scary, but there's something scary happening now still, which is why there's gore. So yeah, I'm gonna add a lot more black on this one. This last splotch, I don't think I had enough black, so it didn't turn out the way I want it. So, and always keep paper towels handy when you're doing this, because you will spill drops and you won't have time to run and get them. Got all this. It's a little too narrow to get in there. I'm just going to freshen up the kill up top, make it look like it was handled by someone, so smear blood all over it. Flip it around, just in case. Probably won't get flipped around, but doesn't have to be perfect. The blood splattering on the front is really going to clarify it. And then I'll take the remainder of this and splatter it again. Lots more blood. Just make it really, really nasty in there. Okay guys, so here's part 2 of the tutorial. I'm just going to go through, show some techniques. I got these 3 pieces up here. I'll just go through and do them. Just not going to use them for the haunt, but I thought you'd like to see the use of it in an actual scene, and then I'll go through it now and do the actual techniques. So, don't have a lot of black left, but I'll just do a quick splotch on here. I'll just go down the side. This is exactly what I did in there. And this thing isn't all that long, so it's not that high, so I don't need to spray a lot of paint at the top to get it to drip down. But if you have something, if you have a full wall, you're going to need to spray a lot more paint at the top. So I'm just going to hit it a little bit, hit it, let it drip down. Hit the drips, that's a really big thing. You want to make sure you get those. And voila, that's looking good, nice and drippy. Let me lay out some paper towels on the ground because it's starting to drip a little bit. So white you can use on black and it'll actually show up pretty clear. So if you have a black wall, never leave a wall just straight up black, unless the one case where you want to leave something straight up black is when you want it to look like it's going back into darkness. But if this is the actual wall of your haunt, well, let me explain on that. If you put up like a picket fence, and then a foot behind that you have a black wall, it'll look like it's just a fence and then it goes on and on. But then 1 foot behind that you can have another scene on the other side of that wall. But if this is the actual wall of your haunt themed in, you want to detail it. Don't know why I just shook this like a paint can, but I'll just do this whole piece. I don't got anything else. And then just gonna go in. It may take a little more paint than with the white, and you always want to take your time. Don't do too much because it will start drying, but maybe leave it in one spot if you want some good drips. Hit those a little bit. And if it gets too light at the bottom, just go back over it at the top. And when you don't really want to start midstream, like midway down, because then it'll just look weird. Anywhere it's dripping from, there should be a logical source that it would drip from. So you always want to start at the top, unless this is like somewhere where boards meet up or something. In that case, you may want to go for it. So that's a good way to add drips to a black wall. Alright, so paint washing is another way you can kind of blend these. If you have, say, a hole in this bottom board, and you had to patch it up with a tiny piece of this top board, obviously it would be cut off like here, but I just don't want to run a saw right now. It's an easy way to make it blended, well, not blended in, but it's an easy way to make it realistic and almost like it should be there and like it's aged with it. So basically what you want to do is paint wash all around the edges, getting on both boards. Again, imagine it's like cut off there or something, but hit it good with the black, let that drip down. And then if you can imagine it being cut off here, like that, it looks more in place because there's been the black all around the borders. You can go back over it once it's run a little bit, just with a solid coat around the edges, and then let that just drip without spraying it anymore. But be sure to get on both pieces, and it should end up looking a little more blended in. Alright, so let me show, maybe if you wanted to go for, just to show sort of an example of how you might blend multiple colors together to give you like a finished look in whole. Because in there I just used the black, but really you want to try and use multiple colors when you can to build a scene. Again, I mean, well, not again, but you want to use layers in a haunt. So I'm just going to hit this with some green. I usually use multiple different types of green, or different shades, so just different companies that make spray paint, just buy them all, and then layer them up. So I got my green, kind of thin that out a little bit. I can come back in and make it thicker at the end if I want, but kind of want to make it clearer where the drips are. So I'm going to hit it there, let it drip. Maybe I'll do one up here. Alright, that up a little more. Then, alright, so you want to go in and get some yellows, maybe just some highlights. And maybe a little bit all over, but not much. Just want to get that one spot really. And then you can kind of, with this more expensive paint, well, with this type, it's easier for me to mist, so I can just do it from far away, kind of get on it. Get that color in there, layered up. Maybe I'll just do a hint of orange. And I'm just experimenting, I don't know what would work. There you go. And then maybe just a hint of black in there, just along the whole thing, just to give it a little darker tone. And then I'll go back over it with green just to get the top looking more natural. That's looking kind of toxic wasty. I like that look. There we go. Let it kind of run down. Maybe hit the top a little more. You want to be uneven with your stuff. So now you kind of have like the layered look. You have just a hint of red in there. Maybe some traces of black covered up by the green now. And then you can kind of see where I hit it with the water. It's a little lighter. So I'm just going to go back and give it a very light dusting just to kind of blend that in, because you don't want it to stand out and be extra white at the top. So just a very light dusting up there. And then maybe I'll show here, it's just a little edge, but how you would blend this kind of thing in. Just hit it with a little, make it drip both onto it and from below it, just to kind of blend that in. Nice there. And ta-da! That's pretty much it. So that concludes the how to paint wash your haunt. I guess maybe I'll do another episode sometime later on more detailed tips, but this is the basic gist of how I paint wash. Really all there is to know is I use spray paint. Feel free to experiment with whatever works for you if you like the latex paint or whatever it is, the house paint. Go for it. I mean, experiment, see what works for you. I really like this drippy look. I think it stands out more than house paint. But experiment, find your own solution, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.